Hello, thank you for clicking on the video. It's Alan Shawn again from the FanPub.
As always, fantastic to be back out, and I can see from your wad of paper.
Wow.
We never discuss before we meet any news. We always kind of save it up before the game, although we talk a lot of stuff offline. So today looks like it's going to be jam-packed.
The camps have started. It's all kicking off. We've got in-depth news for you, so it's going to be coming quick and fast. So buckle in for this one because...
Where do you want to start?
This is everything you need to know that's going on. Right. Well, since we last spoke, we'll start with some of the bigger news.
Go for it.
Stefan Diggs signs a 5-year, $72 million deal, $40 million guaranteed.
Well, the biggest winner from all of this is Odell Beckham. He's going to be signing his next.
Well, he just started negotiating with the Giants.
So this contract is fantastic for Stefan Diggs, and there's some interesting fantasy relevance in this because. A lot of people are saying that Diggs is the better player to own over Adam Thielen, and I think that is kind of a little harsh because I think Adam Thielen had a very good year, but it will be an interesting battle to see how it plays out between the two of them. Very good receivers.
No reason they can't both do well, isn't it?
Yeah, no, there isn't. There's no reason why both couldn't get 1,000 yards and 6 to 8 touchdowns. I mean, it happens, in good teams often, so it should be very good.
Okay, well, the injuries are... coming in thick and fast.
Oh, it was hard to keep track of them overnight.
Doug Baldwin, the news came out yesterday, may miss all pre-season with a knee injury.
Yeah, it's
should be okay for week 1, the doctors say.
I mean, we can only go on what they tell us. We had all of this last year, didn't we, when we were talking about Andrew Luck? So whenever I hear the doctors talking, I do get a bit worried. And people often ask the question, should you draft him? I mean, he is 30. It is the knee, so there is a worry. I'd be a bit worried, if I'm being honest, as we go in towards. But his price is so high, isn't it? His ADP is still right up there, isn't it?
Yeah, so, if he falls, he could be a bargain if he does start week 1.
I think he will fall. I think before most people draft in the middle of August, I think his value falls by, maybe 6 to 8 spots, and that probably means he's an early third-round target in most leagues. That's not too bad a price.
Yep.
But we may have some news that comes soon after that might make this very worrying price. So... it's a tricky one. It's a buckle your seat moment, this one, isn't it? If I'm being honest, in Dynasty, I'd try and sell on him now, get what value I can, just in case. And in redraft, you have to be your own judge of this, but I'm a little bit more wary than most, so probably I would swerve. But some people might like him, and I know there are a lot of fans out there who would love to have him as their second potential wide receiver off the board in a large league, or even maybe the third. So
okay, we've had a couple of big cuts. One you probably haven't heard about because it just happened.
It just happened as I come here.
Brandon LaFell has been cut by the Cincinnati Bengals.
I did get a rumour that this was actually funny enough. I did get
it's
a rumour.
Not a big shock, I suppose.
Yeah, I did get a rumour that this was coming about 2 weeks ago. One of the beat writers mentioned about this was likely to happen. I thought it would come just before the 53-man cut down, so it is a little bit of a surprise. Maybe that says that they're looking to.
He actually was involved in more snaps than AJ Green last year. It says a lot how big a sort of, although fantasy relevance. Minimal. You can argue that it's minimal. His actually team relevance was actually quite high if you look at all the snaps.
I mean, Green was injured for a good portion of last year. So, you can understand that, but I guess that they're moving on.
I mean, Boyd and Ross have got to get a bit of a
bump
uptick for that, haven't they?
And obviously it helps Green, assuming that everything goes well with AJ Green and he's fully back, which he sounds like he is.
And also Josh Malone's one to watch as well. So
you've
keep an eye on him.
Very interesting, But LaFell, I don't see any fantasy.
Well, also from the Bengals, which is more surprising, Tyler Eifert's actually off PUP. He was on it for 4 days. I think it's like an old friend. He felt he had to go on it. He's where he loves to be.
Hello, PUP, my old friends. I mean, I think he'll be back on it.
At some stage.
We've made our predictions on Tyler Eifert. We know he's elite when he plays. He just doesn't play enough, and I suspect he'll be back on that PUP. Before the season starts, probably. We'll see. But at the moment, I'm not holding my breath. He is quite low down on ADP charts, and rightly so.
We've been talking about Tyler Croft and Tyler Eifert for a while. Maybe if you draft both, it's quite a good tactic because they both will catch touchdowns and you can get them both fairly late. So
I think if you can get both,
it could be a good tight end.
I saw that Tyler Eifert was going off the board on some ADP charts at the 14th tight end off the board, so that makes him virtually the last tight end pick.
But when he plays, he's a top 5 tight end.
If you're talking redraft league standard scoring, I mean, he's a good touchdown guy when he's in. And if he isn't in, as you say, Croft is not a bad replacement.
Yeah, so if he goes down, you've got Croft for the rest of the year, and he's decent, isn't he?
It's very good. Yeah, that's a very valid point.
Something to think about. Okay,
and that was the news. Well done.
Yeah, we've got loads of it. We've got loads of it, so don't go anywhere. Josh Doxson injured his shoulder yesterday. It's only an AC sprain and a shoulder bruise. Apparently, he put a thumbs up today saying he's fine. The prognosis is good on him. So
yeah, the bruise part
not ideal, but not a big injury. So
always use the information that, as I say, we've got good sources on the NFL doctor site. As I say, we've got our pulse on the ground with this one, and normally these sprains are 2 weeks max, and I don't think this is a big worry at this stage. So we'll just have to watch this space.
And here's a story that won't go away. After Seattle Times reported it, you don't know if this is the ESPN just picking up on the Seattle Times report, or whether it's his own opinion. But they've got Chris Carson way ahead of Rashad Penny in the camp battle.
Well, we've just talked about Doug Baldwin. Their defense is, let's say, declining.
Well, Earl Thomas has said, "Give me an extension or let me go." Basically today. So
you've got this news about this running back battle. I think that's a little bit of smoke and mirrors, because I think the coach has to get the rookie to come firing with all cylinders. We know Carson's when he plays is a very valid candidate, but I can make a counter argument about he isn't as good as you think he is.
I think your argument, which is what you gave before, was that Seattle don't spend first-round picks on offensive players very often.
No.
Even Russell Wilson was a third-round pick.
They don't do it very often, and there's no way that it's like any team in the NFL. I mean, it is going to bar an injury that is going to stop the kid starting. I mean, that's where you have to stand your ground on, I think, if you're a fantasy enthusiast. The thing you have to temper here is if we're looking at a slow start from Penny on top of a bad offense, his ADP doesn't warrant his current position, really, if I'm being honest.
So does it worry you at all?
Yeah, now it's starting to be. It's not. I'm not worried about that he will produce. My concern is he's going very high. His ADP is that mid round 4 range, slightly under it, but that mid round 4 range in most leagues, maybe slightly more in bigger leagues. That's a big price to pay for a rookie who may have to fight for his job early doors for a few weeks, and an offense that could be struggling. I mean, let's be honest. If Baldwin's out, who are they throwing the ball to? I mean, seriously. And then what happens then? Do you stack the
Brandon
box?
Marshall, Amara Darbo, Tyler Lockett?
I'm not buying it.
Whoever they're going to play at tight end.
I remember reading today, somebody said to me, but doesn't that bump up the price of Tyler Lockett? No, well, for how long? Yeah. I mean, if you're believing in Tyler Lockett after all this time, you're a braver man.
Well, he's another one that struggles to stay fit. Brandon Marshall struggles to stay fit.
I'm not backing them. So it does worry you. But if Penny plays, I mean, he could be an every down back, and he may benefit from this entire fiasco because he might be the only nugget of the whole offense with which Russell Wilson can lean on heavily. So
I mean, Penny's going at 47 overall.
Yep.
As high as 24 and as low as 111. So that splits opinion. Where are you?
I think the price, with the current news, it has to drop him back a bit for a rookie, surely. He must move
50
back
or 60.
50, 60. And if you can get him round 5 or 6 in the small league, that's a great price. He probably could be your third running back. It's not high stock value. If he's your second...
And Carson's climbed 2 rounds now as well, so
yeah, that
people are taking notice.
People will. Fantasy enthusiasts always will, but I would be very cautious on this. Don't go in too hard on Carson. Get him at a good price, but don't have both.
Okay.
One or the other.
Okay, more rookie news with regards to running backs. New England Patriots running back Sony Michel walked off the practice. He went to. We're still waiting to see how bad it was. He did walk in under his own steam apparently. But Mike Gillespie also injured. I mean, Jeremy Hill's now taking first team reps.
What do we say about Sony Michel, really? Where do we start with this kid? You're in New England. We all know the opportunity's there, right? It's one of the greatest offensive machines that you'll ever experience. You've still got Captain Fantastic at the helm. I don't know how they do it with the wide receivers they do, but they do. They find receivers that fit the system and they make it tick whoever's in or out of it. They've lost Edelman, but I'm not worried about it.
Well, they cut Jordan Matthews, of course.
Jordan Matthews got injured.
Well, he's on IR.
And then he's gone.
That's no surprise either, is it?
They do business well in New England. And then you've got the running back situation. Now, of all the things that a running back has to have in New England to have any chance to start, surely it's got to be holding on to the ball. I'm not hearing good things about that.
Apparently, he fumbled in his first practice.
And
that is not going to go down well.
This isn't boding well. Now, if I had to pick one running back out of the bunch, this is why I said, and this unfortunately happened to me, so I'm going to be honest with this, and I might be shooting myself in the foot for saying it, but I'm going to be honest. By bad luck and I had some software issues in one of Al's drafts. We were doing a dynasty league. It was quite funny, really. And it ended up drafting me players you would not want. One of them is Sony Michel. And I said this at the time, that would be not the strategy I'd go down. And it's proving to be the case. Can't trust him.
It's early days.
It's early days, but, if he plays, great. But it's a worry.
I mean, again,
one fumble away from it.
Well, he's already had one fumble.
You're one fumble away from, if he gets away with one in New England, I'd be surprised.
I mean,
he'd never get away with two.
Jeremy Hill might be a slow old plodder, but he rarely fumbles.
Doesn't fumble, which is what you're looking for.
Which is what probably attracted.
Let's not forget Jonas Gray from a few years ago.
Well, everyone has forgot him.
200-yard performance, looked like the second coming of the greatest NFL player ever seen, and then was cut.
Never seen again.
As soon as he had an issue, gone.
I mean, I think he did go somewhere. Did he? Was it the Titans or the Jags or something?
Detroit or something like that, and then he was only there for a short period of time and faded and went.
Right, okay. Well, I mean, Ryan Matthews obviously now cut, so that's one of the Patriots wide receivers out of the equation.
Looks like Hogan's.
Looks like Mitchell they're trying to trade, so he's out of the equation. Edelman. Well, Hogan's already cemented.
Yeah, Hogan will be the early candidate for targets. In ADP list, he's the riser, so that's what all the fantasy enthusiasts are moving towards. That makes sense. But I can't trust any of them. I mean, they're all good. But
do you know now? Well, I've heard Cordell Patterson making plays, but okay.
Oh God.
We'll leave that. That's a good fair comment.
He probably will make a play.
But do you know who they're priming in the slot now?
Go on.
Philip Dorsett.
Yeah, well, that's good. I've got him in one dynasty league.
He's young, isn't he?
He is young
and fast.
He's quick. He's very, very quick. I mean, if it can work anywhere, it'd be New England. But we'll see.
Keep an eye on Philip Dorsett. That's all I'm saying.
We'll see what happens.
Okay, let's move on to another running back outlook. The Jets.
Oh, excellent.
That's a murky.
That's a good murky backfield.
What have we got? So we got Bilal Powell, we got Thomas Rawls, we've got obviously Elijah Maguire broke his foot.
He's gone for the year.
So he's out for a while, and obviously
they think he's not going to make it back this season.
Well, apparently it's worse than suspected as well.
Oh God! Right. Okay.
Well, I mean, the prognosis. They said the time scale's probably going to be bigger, and obviously Isaiah Crowell, who they've just signed, who apparently has been doing well in the catching game, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, it's
Thomas Rawls has been having a nightmare.
This is a backfield to absolutely avoid.
But sometimes if you need a running back, these are the if you've gone zero RB.
If I've got to pick one from that group, I mean, as much as I've been probably the biggest supporter of Bilal Powell in some ways for low down drafting, if you needed a running back, he was the guy to try and target a few years ago. He was one of them funny guys that we kind of picked out from a few years ago when he was really, you could have had him in the 16th round. I think it's Isaiah Crowell who might be the biggest beneficiary of this situation, really. He isn't anything spectacular, but you probably don't have to be. The only concern, of course, is how many games really are you going to need a closer? I can't see the Jets being in many.
Well, he has been catching the ball as well, though.
So. It'd be good for his value, definitely be good for his value.
And that's something he hasn't really been known for in the past.
Well, I think out of all of them, he'd be the guy that I'd be interested in, but...
Apparently, Rawls has been horrible. Apparently, from all report, reading between the lines.
I can't buy anything else from it, but I'm not enamoured by any of them. But I guess needs must, as they say.
Well, we're going through all the camps, so
needs must.
Quincy Enunwa was back from injury. Everyone said he was looking good and fit, and then he suffered an undisclosed injury, to which the coach said he'll be back when he's back, which is a bit weird. What do you make of that? It's probably not too serious.
It's probably not serious
again.
Weird
thing to say, isn't it?
It's probably not serious again, but it is worrying that this kind of... I always feel... I mean, there's bad luck, and then there's, maybe... I don't know. It would all depend on how much effort's been put in the off-season for some players, because I think if you come in cold when you start practicing, even without pads on, because then most of them won't be in pads yet, these niggles are showing you haven't really done the off-season work, I think. I think you should be coming in very, very, very super fit.
But it's a very different game to being fit to taking physical hits.
Oh, massive difference. I mean, we're not even at that part yet. We're already seeing them fall like flies, so it's coming.
It's only going to get worse.
It's only going to get worse.
Well.
So, and that would worry me a little bit with Quincy Enunwa. I'd be kind of interested medically if I was the coaching staff. What's the weight difference from the previous year? Is the season finished? What's his 40 time? What's his cone drill time? I'd like to get a measure on, is there something not happening for the player, or is it just one of those bit of bad luck? I'd like to know. And you know that through good coaching, I think. You'd have a clue. We will never know what the answer is to that, but they will know.
Okay. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on to Cleveland. Got a bit of news from the Cleveland camp. Apparently, David Njoku's been dropping a lot of passes. He's been very disappointing.
Yeah,
he's been getting a bit of a rocket.
Yeah, he does. It sounds like he needed it. He's having a very poor camp, and that is never good.
You really want to see a player coming on.
Yeah, I mean, second year you would expect a bit more. I mean, Cleveland, you hope would have a few more wins this year. You'd hope to see them improving because they've quite frankly. I think backroom staff, we say it all the time with this team, I think the backroom staff have done a great job for the team to try to put them in a position to build and build well, but we never seem to see them taking steps forward. So, this guy did look okay last year in patches. I was expecting a little bit more. I'm a little bit worried about him, but rightly, you're not paying a high price fantasy-wise for him. So, again, we'll see. I mean, you often hear this in camp, people making mistakes. To be honest, this is where I want them to make the mistakes. It's now. Not later.
Yeah, so. I mean, we're in early camp, so they can turn things around.
I'm not worried about that too much, but I'd just like to see him move on. Hopefully, as the camp gets close to pre-season, which is round the corner, it starts tonight. Actually, we got our Hall of Fame game tonight. Actually, I don't know if it's on your list, but I'm going to give a big shout out to someone who is a Hall of Famer. Actually, Jerry Kramer. I don't know if you know Jerry Kramer, but he was played for the Green Bay Packers in the 60s. He waited 45 years to get into the Hall of Fame, number 68. One of the greatest run blockers of all time. Totally deserved. Congratulations to him, and he's been a very patient man. So I just want to throw that out there. Well done.
That was when they were all wearing,
the real old-fashioned green and yellow, yeah.
Like heavy miners' boots.
If you ever watch him play, he's well worth watching. Just have a look at Kramer's tape, what you can find of it, and he was a dominating rush blocker. My God.
It's a very different time. You had people like Larry Zonka and that knocking people out.
He was very, very, very good. I mean, when there was all the Vince Lombardi era, and they did their classic sweep plays. He's a master, this guy. Kramer was the master at it, the way he rolled out as a big man. It was just, you wouldn't want to meet him in the backfield. You just wouldn't. He was just such a beast for his size. He looked like a physical specimen. And even at this age, because he's waited 45 years, the man looks like he can still hold a punch. I've got to say.
So he's still trying to avoid him.
Still avoid him. But I'm very impressed, though. Well done. So I just had to throw that in there because it's just such a nice story.
Yeah, it's always nice to hear things like that. I mean, he's not someone on my radar, but I'm far younger, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, you were playing with him, weren't you?
I think maybe for a second.
Okay, well, we're carrying on with the Cleveland Browns. This is a murky backfield, and a lot of people are asking, who should I own? Who should I own? And this is the news coming from the camp, which is not really surprising, really. Hyde and Nick Chubb are both. Taking the carries and the running, and Duke Johnson's doing the third down work, which is kind of sensible.
That's pretty much what we were saying last week.
Yeah,
I think that backs up what we were talking about with Hyde.
But can the Browns support 3 fantasy running backs? Though?
No, they can't. The truth of the matter is this will play itself out in due course. If I'm making a guess, I think Carlos Hyde shouldn't be forgotten how good he was last year. I mean, he's a 170-point fantasy running back. Which was very, very good.
Duke Johnson was top 20 as well.
So that was very, very good. So they've done well to have a veteran on their team. And he's not that old, Hyde. I mean, he's still got
27, 28.
He's still got some time on. There's a little bit wear and tear left for him, and I never felt any slowdown last season from him. So I personally feel that he's a good player, and it would be very difficult for Chubb to beat him out. So I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, maybe they share the load. But I wouldn't be surprised if Hyde is really good value, actually. I mean, because Chubb's going late. I mean, I saw him going the other night I did a lot of mock drafting just to get a feel for ADP charts for standard scoring at the moment. PPR, I think, is a little bit easy to predict in many ways for me. But Chubb was going about 104, 105 on the ADP lists. So very good value. And Carlos Hyde, you could have him a couple of rounds later. I mean, that's unbelievable from last year's production. I think that's really cheap.
It's not without risk, but then,
But at that stage, there is no risk because you've already got 3 starters and maybe 4. And
I mean, the ADT does reflect that, I suppose.
It does. But, there's no real risk with those prices, so you can happily invest.
Are you a buyer of Carlos Hyde at that?
I would be, yeah, because he's an elder statesman. He's done it. He's proved he can do it. He did it last year. So, if you have to lean on someone to close a game out, who would I rather have? I'd rely on him to do it because he knows what he would. He does. He's not a fumbler, is he? Carlos Hyde. He's a good running back.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, and he can catch it as well, so he can kind of do it all, can't he?
I quite like that in him. I think there's a lot to like. I mean, Chubb certainly has a future dynasty-wise. I think definitely yes. But at the moment, I think it could well be this year. It could be Carlos Hyde.
I mean, Jude Johnson actually came out this week and said he'd rather be a slot receiver than a running back, which is a bit weird.
Kind of.
I know he's catching is his game, but
yeah, he kind of is though.
Yeah, I guess he is, isn't he?
And a running back cannot compete with a wide receiver for loads of different reasons. Very rare if they got those kind of hands. You haven't got the route running, the physicality. It's nonsense. You're not playing in the slot. You're not that exceptional. You're a good athlete, but your best thing is get you in space. That's what you do well at. Good. Then you need to do that from the running back position because it's easier because you haven't got anybody initially marking you. You've got a few yards before anybody closes you.
So playing the slot a lot. You don't think he'd be a good move putting him there? Then?
No, I don't. No,
fair enough.
I don't at all. No, I don't think that.
So, sorry, Duke. It doesn't look like that's happening.
If you said to me, Ty Montgomery was going to play in the slot, what do you think of that? That's fantastic news for fantasy.
That brings us on nicely to that news actually, which will be news to your ears actually.
Yep.
Aaron Jones obviously he's had injuries and suspension, so
yes, he has.
They're reporting that it's Jamal Williams' job to lose, so he's been taking first and second down work, and Ty Montgomery taking the third down work.
It makes sense. I mean, it's pretty much what we said. We know that Aaron Jones, we've said this before, it comes down to two simple principles, and it's worth banging the drum because sometimes you have to really go away and think about it as a drafter. I know that Aaron Jones passes the eye test. I'm not denying it. Is he potentially the better runner? Yeah, of course he is. I can't deny that.
At the three, probably he's the best runner
without doubt.
Lot, isn't he?
So why am I not high on him? He can't pass block, and my major asset is, of course, Aaron Rodgers. And if you're the coach and your man who should just slide 1 yard or the other does not pick up a blitzer and your main asset gets hit, I don't know about you, but a blindside hit to the quarterback is the most nerve-wracking moment in any game. And, as a fan of watching your quarterback get hit and you think, oh, is he going to get up? You don't want to lose Aaron Rodgers for another season because that would be devastating for Green Bay. So you can't take those kind of risks. And this guy is not only going to miss camp, he's been injured and everything's pointing the wrong way for him. So we were right the way back in the podcast. If you've listened to us and taken that advice on board and had a sneaky punt when appropriate on Jamal Williams, you're probably going to get rewarded for that. If you haven't, that's fine. You haven't missed out because it could still be a very murky backfield. But at the moment, it is looking like it's his job to lose. And he may well still lose it midway through the season. I'm not denying that. But if Aaron Jones doesn't pick up blitzes, then he won't be doing the job for long. It will be a committee. So we'll see how it plays out.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We'll move on to the... Well, there's just one little bit more news from the Packers.
Yep.
Apparently, Jamon Moore and Geronimo Allison are mixing in as wide receiver 3 at the moment. So
interesting.
He seems to be the rookie that may be ahead of the game, which they drafted him higher. So that would make sense.
It does, yeah. And then you've been a bit of a fan of his, and you rightly have picked him out as potentially a good guy to come in and maybe get that 3 job. So with Geronimo Allison, I think you've done a good job with that.
Okay. Well, yeah. I think Randall Cobb obviously. We've talked about, and I think he could be value this year.
Yeah,
I know it was mentioned by one of our subscribers, which is good. But when you look into it and think about it,
it makes sense. He's so cheap. Like we've kind of talked it through enough times. It is cheap enough. He's going at the right spot. That is he worth a shot? Of course he is.
If Rodgers is fit for a whole year and Adams and Nelson were they'd both be going like. Second round, third round.
I can't argue it because at the end of the day, it's a good offense, and sometimes you need a piece of that, and it might be that Cobb has to be your second or third receiver in a large league, and I can't argue that either.
But he has that upside if he can recapture his form.
If he can.
We'll move on to the Baltimore Ravens because everyone wants to know about Joe Flacco and the gang.
They're playing tonight, so
they are.
We get to see Lamar Jackson. I'm quite excited to see what happens there.
Well, we said about them, having both quarterbacks on the pitch, so and we're in the crowd with a few plays, so that'll be exciting. Lamar's going to get playing time. So, a couple of their rookie wide receivers, just been checking in on them to see which one of them might be good to own. Apparently, Jordan Lasley's had a good start. He's made some big plays in camp. But Jaleel Scott has struggled.
Right.
So, if you got to choose between the two in Dynasty, if you're still doing that sort of thing, maybe have a look at Jordan Lasley. Apparently, the biggest red zone target for the Ravens has been Michael Crabtree. Flacco to Crabtree has been a a repetition of that in training has been immense.
He's very good at it, isn't he? I mean, that's the thing that
Crabtree's always been good in the red zone.
The thing about him is he's becoming very effervescent. He's another one of these players who's reached that kind of end point in his career the last few years, but he still looks like he's capable of putting up decentish stats and touchdowns to go with it. So in standard leagues, he still has a value. However, to temper that a little bit, his value is much higher than you think. I mean, if you looked at
it is high. Yeah,
I was shocked at the ADP
But then
values.
if he's going to be their number one, do you trust Baltimore? Though?
I mean, look, but just think about this for a minute. I mean, I'm going to go on what I saw the other night. Al can back up the data; he's got it to hand. So this may be slightly wrong, but it's not going to be wrong by much. He was going in a large league.
63.
Yeah, I was about to say
63rd off the board.
End of the fourth round.
So round Chris Hogan, Sammy Watkins, Corey Davis.
I mean, they've all. I guess it's fair value, as they may say in Australia, fair dinkum. But I mean, that's fair value. I mean, all of them have got a chance. But Corey Davis, we don't know. He's unknown commodity.
Good job you got fair dinkum in for our one Australian subscriber. I'm sure he'll be tough with that.
Well, we got to give a mention where you can. We're international.
I'm going to call you Galar in a minute.
You've got to be international.
A flaming Galar, right?
Yeah. Oh, thanks. But I do like the fact that this is an interesting spot in the draft board. This one, because this could be a trade cut.
Okay,
keep,
well there's actually
a trade cut keep there.
Yeah, well there's a few because there's Jarvis Landry, Sammy Watkins, Michael Crabtree, and Corey Davis. You tell me which one of them you draft. I know which one I'd go for.
I go for Crabtree, Sammy Watkins would be my two that I'd look at first out of the rest.
Actually, yeah, it depends on your format.
And Landry is okay.
I quite like Hogan actually because he's going to be a wide receiver one with a
Hogan
high offense.
has certainly sneaky value for the first 4 weeks of the year, and in New England anything's possible.
And if it's PPR, Jarvis Landry in the slot, I'm sure he's not happy about hearing Duke Johnson trying to take his job.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. So no, that's another reason.
I like Landry as a player, but Cleveland, they do worry.
If you thought the value was bad in Miami, what's the value like in Cleveland? It's got to be less, isn't it?
I don't know. Can it be less? I mean, it's pretty bad.
I don't know. I mean, they will be throwing all day, so I mean that is in his advantage. But
Landry always in PPR.
Absolutely.
I'd avoid
standard,
especially 4 points.
Those values.
He does catch a lot of passes.
It's a bit more tricky.
He does get open.
There's a lot of packed receivers. Oh, okay. Moving on.
So, are you a buyer of his or not, Crabtree?
Well, at that price, yeah, I mean,
possibly,
but you spelled it out. I mean, it depends on the draft format and what you're looking for. I mean, if he's my first wide receiver off the board, then I've obviously gone very heavy running back. If I've already gone heavy on the wide receivers, he's going to be my third or second, maybe, depending on what I've done. Yeah, that's okay. But none of them are that exciting. None of them are that exciting that I'm going, this is what I can expect. It's more I'm going, can I get at least this from them? Doesn't really excite me. Corey Davis worries me a lot. So, I don't know. We haven't seen it yet.
It's not Corey Davis. It's Mahomes that worries you, isn't it?
Well, Mahomes and Sammy Watkins are hooking up quite well, actually.
Well, Richard Matthews is actually on PUP as well. Ooh. He started camp, and a lot of people don't know that. So you're going to get all this information from us.
That's very interesting. I know that's something I didn't know. So,
but apparently,
that's very under the radar.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of people know that. But he is sneakily, again, the news coming in probably you won't hear anywhere else. He has started running routes, if you want to call it routes in America.
Yeah. So he's whatever the injury.
So he's probably not far off, but
yeah. So he's back to.
He's going to be a little bit behind, and obviously he's had an injury that wasn't ready for camp. So
yeah, all the niggles do concern you as a coach, but we'll have to see again how this all plays out. But it's interesting. Those four receivers, I can see the argument for Hogan, but I think if I'm being honest, New England, you never quite know how it's going to shape up. So for me, it's Crabtree and Sammy Watkins would be the safer route probably there.
You think Sammy Watkins is safe?
Yeah, I do.
The man who wears a boot.
Well, you got to remember
most of the year.
Let's be fair with him. I mean, last year wasn't his fault. He wasn't injured particularly last year. He just didn't have the ball thrown to him, and that wasn't down to him. That was down to the way they played.
Progression, the way he does
it's
it.
just the way it was. I mean, I think he's ended up in a much better situation for himself personally.
Well, let's talk about that because there is some news about your quarterback that you.
Yeah, tell me about that. I'm really interested to debate this out.
He's had 6 practices and he's thrown 7 interceptions.
Well, what do you want from a quarterback in practice? Personally,
I don't want 7 interceptions.
I'm very happy with that. That doesn't bother me as a coach. Listen, this is the
this
place.
could be your new.
This is the place you get it out, right? And the reason is, don't get me wrong. Look, I'm a coach. This is what I do. I say, yeah, go on, and you sling one down the field, show them how good your arm is, and then you let the corners know exactly what's coming. And the reason you do that is you say, whenever you're playing the game, you make sure that corner's off here, or you do this. There's a lot of psychology that goes into developing a quarterback. Andy Reid is one of the best of the business at doing this. If you can make Alex Smith a stud with conservatism, then you can make Patrick Mahomes with a rocket arm.
But this is totally different, isn't it? Because this is a guy that's not conservative. He'll throw deep,
but he'll do it based on the plays that are put in. And I'm absolutely convinced that Andy Reid, he said it himself the other day. Actually, there is going to be some up and down moments this season coming up, no doubt, because I'm dealing with a rookie quarterback. He said, but he will be a star. I'm backing the coach. I believe in Andy Reid, and I believe in Patrick Mahomes for this year. And I think you'll find by 2019, so after this 1 year of play, we'll be looking at Patrick Mahomes in an entirely different light.
This was an interview with Eric Berry, so he was saying,
sorry,
blimey,
probably killed someone with a hearing aid. I do apologise.
On the flip side of that, he was saying because he is throwing deep, this is why he's got the interceptions, and he's had his big share of big plays as well. So notably to Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins.
But you want your quarterback to get these issues out of the way here. This is what it's for. It's practice. Then you look at the improvements during the preseason games, and then when you get to that final preseason game where the quarterback will get a full quarter, you want to see those errors almost negligible. If he's got that right, and we see a good quarter of football from Patrick Mahomes, or relatively error-free, one mistake, I'll accept that. 2 or 3 would have me worried, but 1 error, I'll cope with that. Then he's going to be okay, and so will the Chiefs be fine. And that's an interesting division. It's wide open.
So he's got to learn, hasn't he? He's got to learn when it's on and when it isn't on.
Yeah, he's going to have to take his
better choices.
You don't throw into double, not in the NFL. It's something you can get away with at college. You can't get away with it in the NFL. One-on-one, you have to know who's back there, which corner's back there. What kind of closing speed do they have, and what can you do? Where does your receiver want the ball? And I think Patrick Mahomes will develop very quickly and surprise people this year. Right. I'm very, very high on him as a surprise for 2019 and even this year. I think he'll outperform his ADP data by quite a margin.
Okay, on to the 49ers.
Yep.
A bit of news out there. Apparently, the first play of camp was a 40-yard touchdown, Jimmy G to Kittle. Yep. It could be a tight end to watch this year. So.
Yeah, you're a big fan of Kittle's. A lot of fantasy enthusiasts very, very hard.
Yeah, apparently they've been smoking hot in camp.
Yep.
The other guy making is Dante Pettis. He's been making big plays in camp. His route running has been amazing, apparently. His separation.
Glad to have some shares of him already in Dynasty. Looks interesting, and there's certainly a need for a player to step up. So very interesting guy to watch this space on is him. And the San Francisco 49ers are definitely moving in the correct direction. They look good for this year. They look interesting. I'm quite excited to see what all the pieces do. There's a lot of interesting pieces put together here. See how it all fits together. Going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, so definitely one to watch, I think.
Definitely, without a doubt. I think he's somebody you can put on your radar. It's more a dynasty pick than it is going to be anything else. I don't think in small leagues you've probably got better options low down, to be honest. But in a large league, and we do play in a few of those, could be an interesting player who could come on a few weeks into the year. So definitely one to watch.
Right. On to the Oakland Raiders. It's all going on. We're trying to cover as much as we can.
Yeah. Okay.
One bit of news actually I missed from Bengals camp. Actually, one of the rookies. Another one that was injured was Auden Tate, who got carted off the field. So that's probably not been reported too much. So
yeah. Do we have any updates on that? Because I hadn't heard much yesterday about it.
No, we're still waiting for an update. So obviously,
sounds a bit more serious.
It's early in the morning in America while we record this, so we haven't heard the. And obviously, Joe Mixon's been good in camp as well. That's another bit of news that came up. He's a lot leaner this year, and he's had a lot stronger camp than last year.
I think really interesting. He'd gone down to 217 pounds, which I thought was very, very good. I mean, he stripped away some of the body mass that maybe was holding back some of the explosiveness in the step, which I think it's very tricky in the NFL, getting the balance right between your personal size and what works best for you in the NFL. So I think this is a good move for him. It's only going to help his stock value rise. He's, you are going to have to pay a second round price for him. It's anybody's guess at this moment where the ADP will settle. At the moment, it's sort of about 26, 25, somewhere in that range, I think, the ADP for Mixon. So that's about right, I suppose. You'll be able to validate that in a minute where he's currently going, but I saw him go that between 25 and 24. There you go. So not bad, is it? You this is what you find as well when you've been drafted. I've been doing a lot of mocks, so the numbers.
That's only because he's gone below Doug Baldwin now.
The numbers
above, sorry.
Yeah, the numbers they lock into your head after a while where roughly players go, so it gives you a good idea of what's going on. But I think he is primed. He's certainly going to be there. A focal point for them with AJ Green. If last year's his floor, then surely the only way is up.
Okay, let's move on to the Oakland Raiders. Apparently, Amari Cooper's been amazing in camp. He's now the focal point of the attack, and they've been moving him all over the field to get him in opportunities.
Well, we'll see what happens. I'm not buying it. I'm sorry, fantasy-wise, he's burnt me twice.
Didn't they say something similar last year? I know it's a different coach. John Gruden, obviously.
I saw the flashes that you've got to see a couple of years back and then make a bold prediction on him. But he didn't live up to it. He had the opportunity and he never lived up to it. He was outshone by the more veteran player in Crabtree. And the quarterback felt safer going to Crabtree at key moments in the game, which says a lot.
It should only get better, though. It's not hard not to after last year.
No, it has to get better for him. He certainly has the potential to take over a game. We mustn't lose sight of the one phenomenal game of last year where he got 30 fantasy
And that's
points.
when they moved him all over the field.
And he can dominate. And the only thing I would say is if he can
He's going
keep
at
his
35.
head, it's very high still. Very, very high.
Allen Robinson.
It's very high, isn't it? I mean, 35. It's a very high price to pay for a wide receiver. This is risky territory. There's already those kind of players we've just been discussing. There's risk on every single one of them. He's no different, is he?
Okay. Another thing John Gruden mentioned, and he singled out for praise, was Marcel Aitman. He's a rookie wide receiver. I think he's 6'5" or something like that.
Yeah, he's a beast. Yeah.
They took him in 7th round, was it? I think.
Yeah.
And he's obviously, been doing well enough so he's another one for your notebooks going forward. So probably not for this year, but you never know.
It's a player to watch. I'm not sure we were going to see any return value for this year. I doubt it. I think you would have to see if there are moments. If he got a few catches and there was a moment to shine, then it's one to look for next year.
You think he might be a red zone sort of target?
Could be, and they're going
to
need those kind of players. I think for this year, you're going to need players to step up. So anything's possible.
Okay. So you're not a fan? You're not buying into Amari Cooper?
Not at this year. Not at this year.
Okay.
No, I can't buy into Amari Cooper. I'm kind of swerving past him because I think if you're paying 35 for Amari Cooper, that's the price you're paying. That's if you're lucky and you're in a small league, okay, you're now moving into the 3rd round. Okay, you've already got a couple of players to rank your team, but in larger leagues, this could be your second pick. I can't recommend that off the beginning 3rd pick. I just can't. I don't
know. If you look at the wide receivers available around this, so you've got Allen Robinson, Amari Cooper, Alshon Jeffrey, who's had off-season surgery.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people have reported that, but that's something. If you don't know, that has happened.
Yeah.
So that's obviously always a worry.
Yep.
When you're wide receiver.
None of them excite me. I mean, that's my problem with all of them. They're okay, but none of them excite me that much. I'm really enamoured by owning them. I'd only be enamoured by owning them.
Well, you've got to pick one. That's a game, isn't it?
I've told you I'd pick. I'd go Sammy Watkins or Crabtree.
No, you got Cooper, Robinson, or Jeffrey. I'm not even going to give you Larry Fitz because that's an easy way.
Robinson or Jeffrey.
Larry Fitz in the middle, but I'm not giving you him because he's too easy.
So it's Cooper, Robinson, and Alshon Jeffrey. Yeah. I'm taking Alshon Jeffrey, which is going to surprise people. He's often injured.
But he's got one leg.
I know he's often injured, but the point is, if I've got to keep one, I'm taking him because of the upside.
I think I'd take Cooper.
I'm trading on Cooper in a trade cut keep situation. That's what I would do.
You've just talked him down. You should be talking him up if you're trying to trade him.
Yeah, well, it's different, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's different.
Okay, we'll move on. Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
We reported last week about Simmons making a few plays. You've mentioned him earlier, so he's been in the mix. He's definitely been running with the first.
Yep.
Obviously, you got Royce Freeman as well. Who you like a lot,
and some good news.
And you got Devontae Booker, I meant Philip Lindsay, not Philip.
Yeah.
He's
I like the fact. The fact that the veterans say.
But do you know,
Philip Lindsay's a better player than Philip Lindsay's better than Devontae Booker. That's what the veterans are saying.
When they asked Bill Musgrove about the Denver RBs, which one should I go for? Do you know what he said?
Go on.
No, which one's doing the best? D'Angelo Henderson.
Right.
And they said any others. He said only D'Angelo Henderson. So that's another. that's muddied that even more. So
well, I know where I believe in this backfield what will happen. I'm absolutely certain that this is how it will play out. Freeman wins the 3-down job. He's backed by two of the most important people in the franchise. One of them being John Elway. I don't have to say too much more. And Terrell Davis said it as well.
Fairly influential.
And they're both critical to this. And TD is listened to because he worked at the same time as John Elway. And they asked him the other night on NFL.com, what do you think of Royce Freeman? He said he's a 3-down back. He will win the starting job. That's all I need to hear. That's it. I knew this. I've said this for a long time. I was convinced. I'm more convinced now. And it's not because Royce Freeman is anything special. It's just there's nothing there to beat out. Seriously.
Devontae Booker?
There's nothing to beat out. So I feel, comfortable. And his ADP is good. I mean, ADP for Royce Freeman, as of the mocks I've been doing recently, puts him around about 50, 51, 50. That's okay. That's about fair because you are taking a punt on a rookie, so that's okay.
I need some more good information for you.
Yep.
That won't be widely reported, but it is out there. It's going on in the camp. Case Keenum's favourite red zone target?
Go on.
Cortland Sutton.
Interesting. Very interesting.
If there was an injury to Sanders or Thomas, he could be very good.
Cortland Sutton could have... It's one... Like, normally when you look at some of the rookies and you kind of have to sort of... Maybe next year. But he's one name that I would take a punt on in any size league, and I have done. And, and you'd see what happens because both the receivers there are 30-odd each. Years old.
They're both good though, aren't they?
Both elite. Not saying that Cortland Sutton does anything this year. Wouldn't expect a lot. At the moment, the way it stands, he'd be lucky if he can get 30, 35, 40 catches.
Yeah,
if he was lucky. But, as you say, an injury, stratospheric climb.
It's interesting though with the red zone, so it could be some value there.
He's a very savvy player. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does.
And Demaryius Thomas is playing in the slot this year.
And if you're in Dynasty Leagues and you've got Cortland Sutton, well done, because you will be looking forward to seeing him come on next year.
Demaryius Thomas is playing in the slot this year, which means more catches. If you're playing PPR, it was Sanders last year.
Yeah.
Although most of the footballs were thrown on the floor, so no one could catch.
No, I think this is good news for both. As it stands at the moment, it's good news for Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. Both their ADPs are low enough down that Demaryius Thomas obviously going ahead of Emmanuel Sanders, but it's not by a huge amount.
But Keenum proved he's a decent quarterback.
Yeah, I think both of them have really good value. I mean, we talked about some of these receivers, right? So you talk about some of these. You talk about the Corey Davis. You were talking about the Crabtree and all those guys. Sure, I get the argument early doors for Hogan. I can get the argument for Crabtree as a bit more of a red zone monster, really, and he is a good player. But Emmanuel Sanders is going about 52, 53.
Later, I think.
Right, so that
Demaryius Thomas is going 41.
I think you'll find Emmanuel Sanders about 53 to 55. That's the kind of range.
76.
I'm surprised. The other day when I was drafting, he was constantly going off the board at 50s. So that's interesting. I mean, that's cheap, isn't it? I mean, if
76, you
can't go wrong there. I mean, I'd put him ahead of a couple of the players we've already previously mentioned. Seriously,
he's going below Robert Woods, one of your favourites.
Happy days.
He said he should have a 1 on his ADP.
Yeah, please take Robert Woods. Anybody drafting against me?
Devin Funchess.
Yeah,
you can see that a little bit. Corey Davis is quite a way ahead of him. Pierre Garçon.
Yeah. I like Emmanuel Sanders for safety. At that point of the draft, you need a second wide receiver or a third.
Keenan won 3 games out of 4 under Jeff Fisher for the Rams.
I mean, there's no more that needs to be said.
That's even better than the
Case
season.
Keenan, you're a genius. I'll tell you that. How you can make his stats look good, no one knows.
Right. Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on to the Dallas Cowboys, my team. Even though I'm wearing DeAndre Hopkins.
That's okay. You're allowed to.
Basically, we lost Cedric Wilson, who was one of our rookie wide receivers.
It's a bit unlucky. I mean, it's
torn his shoulder.
It's not a huge fantasy loss, but it's still a pain because you haven't got a lot of players there, and he wasn't bad.
They've been doing weird things. Apparently, Tavon Austin, who they said was going to be a running back, he's hanging out with the wide receivers, whatever that means.
Well, he's hanging out with the wide receivers / taller than him and wider than him.
Are they taller than him? I mean, Cole Beasley's going to be
he's close. I mean, at least he's found a group of wide receivers close to his height range.
I seriously don't know what's going on because they've been playing Beasley on the outside. I mean,
I think
he's the smallest bloke.
Your wide receivers worry me, because I mean, the modern NFL is changing, right? So listen to this. This is quite funny. The modern NFL has changed to kind of these beasts, these number 1 guys who are 6'4", 6'5". But your guys can't even get on rides at Alton Towers. It's a little bit worrying, isn't it? I mean,
they would be turned away, wouldn't they? The height restrictions.
It would be a bit worrying over there. So,
there is one man that's come out of training. I'd never heard of him, and I'm a Dallas fan, and that's Lance Lenoir. Apparently,
wow. Okay,
making plays in camp.
Interesting.
Anyway, anyone give us any more information on him. But apparently he's
not one that I've heard of. I know you mentioned
quite a physical receiver.
I know it's a name that you've mentioned to me a few times before, but this is
I
off
doubt
camera.
it is, because
I'm sure you mentioned him once for Dallas.
I've never heard of him.
Certainly not somebody I've still picked up on any kind of vibe or news or anything yet. So we'll have to see, because there is an open opportunity. If somebody could step up here, this is an area of. There are several teams like this, Cleveland being another one, and several others we're going to mention and have mentioned, where there's a job going if you can.
Well, I think Alan Hearns will definitely be wide receiver 1.
Number 1, and he's being disrespected in
and he's going late, but you don't know, is wide receiver 1 in Dallas going to be worth anything? Well it's like being wide receiver 1 in Buffalo, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Maybe that's a bit harsh.
But it is at least, the thing that you can definitely say is, at least if you are the wide receiver 1, the volume of work should come, and therefore by definition there's a value to the player, even if he's your 4th or 5th wide receiver. Still a value. You want him on your team than somebody else's. Certainly a lot less risk on him getting work than some other players we've mentioned. So yeah, Alan Hearns. So maybe it's his time to really shine.
And another obviously Jason Witten retired in the off season.
Big loss.
Legendary.
Yeah.
So the tight end race was wide open. Apparently Blake Jarwin is well ahead. He's been the tight end, impressing in camp.
I think this is a really good pickup from you here, Al, because I mean the tight end battles. We've talked about this a lot. I've done a lot of research. I've got that in front of me. This is a lot of research. I've been talking to Al off camera. We will share some of these findings with you as we near the actual NFL season and probably before your final drafts. Where when you talk about tight ends, the bottom pack of tight ends, 20 and below. One of these guys could be sneaky good value. Whoever gets this job could have a real value that, for nothing, a throwaway pick could be a really good throwaway pick at the end. So, when you're looking to make a dart throw at the end of a draft and you don't really have an emphasis on tight end, a guy like you've mentioned could be.
Yeah, Blake Jarwin could be a man.
Could be the guy that sneaks through and gets the job, and you've happened to have picked him up for literally nothing. And he could give you serviceable numbers, which, considering where you picked him, is great. So yeah, definitely one to watch for and certainly listen in on. I suppose it's a little bit like seeing what Miami will do with tight end and knowing really that it's just going to be Mike Gesicki's game and see what happens over there.
What other tight end have they got?
Well, they've got no.
But then they had Julius Thomas. They didn't throw to him.
No, but this is the problem. I mean, can you throw to anybody? We don't know.
Well, talking of them,
yeah.
Tannehill's thrown 4 picks in 3 practices. So and he was getting sacked. Now, this was live. I was watching it, and
this is a little different, right? So now, where I've been very supportive of a rookie, Patrick Mahomes, because I want to see him get these wrinkles out. This is a guy that should be a little bit better than that.
But to be fair, he has missed it like a year and a half.
He has. So we give him the leeway. It's practice, and we'll see what he does. But that's more.
But was he any good before he got injured?
No, he wasn't. It's like the classic situation. Like we've got this kind of coming up soon. Actually, in a few weeks' time, we've got a couple of 2 QB leagues to get involved in, and so these kind of guys like him could be I'm not saying he is, but could be a 2nd or 3rd quarterback that you may have to take. It's not what I'm going to be.
Only if I forgot it's a 2 QB league.
And that's only because you have to. But no, other than that, no real value. No. I think I'd be mortified if he was my starting QB. I think.
We'll give him a bit of sack. His first week of camp, and
I'll give him we'll see how it goes. But I'm not holding out a lot of hope there. That looks a really horrible squad for this year, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't like him. I don't like Adam Gase.
No,
I don't like him at all. I don't trust him.
No, two quick moves. I mean, he didn't hang on to JJ for very long. Quickly cut him, even though they knew what they were getting when they drafted for him.
I mean, Drake did really well. He led the league in rushing last 5 games last year. So, if he can kick on, he could be a player. But then you've got the old reliable Frank Gore.
This is the problem. It's a great murky backfield in many ways, because I mean the truth of it is that this is another player early doors that's polarising fantasy enthusiasts. He's Marmite Drake. You either love him or you hate him already. And I totally get the upside. I mean, if it's right and he gets all the work, obviously fantastic. You've already got a running back in the first say, and you picked up Drake in the second. Your team's already off to a great start. Of course it is. But if you get it wrong, and he isn't, and he's actually not getting as much work, well, he's costing you immediately because you've already started him. Then you've got the problem that at what point do you let go, or what point do you try and trade away, or what do you do? And it's so hard to get quality running backs. It's so difficult. So this is a real risky pick early doors. And I'm one of these players. He could be, as you say, could be brilliant. But I kind of worry because we all know how great Frank Gore is. I'm never going to underestimate how capable he is. And already, in camp, people are saying he's very, very good. I mean, he's 34 for God's sake. He's
been doing well in camp.
When they're saying he's doing well in camp, 34, he's really good. They're saying. I mean, we know he's good. That's the problem. He will probably end up taking a lot of work.
He's lurking in the background, and that's all.
You just know he's waiting for Drake one mistake, and he's going to be in and take that backfield again.
Well, again.
I mean, how many backfields has he won?
He's great protecting the quarterback again, isn't he?
Yeah,
So.
and that's what wins you the job.
Yeah, especially
when it's Tannehill.
You like Tannehill, he needs protecting. Although he's getting set to practice, so. Maybe he wasn't.
I bet Gore wasn't out there at the time.
Probably not, no. Okay, we'll move on to the Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
Alex Smith's favourite target, Jamison Crowder. We talked about Josh Doxson's injury.
Yeah.
What's your feelings about Jamison Crowder this year?
It's very difficult to judge because the one true stat that keeps shining through for me about the Washington receivers has been the fact that while they were working with Kirk Cousins is somebody who doesn't lock into one player. I think that's one of his strengths as a quarterback, so he doesn't have a favourite. And that means he sprays the ball around a lot. It's like Captain Fantastic, isn't he, in that way? Like the real gunslingers. I always think great quarterback doesn't actually really have a favourite. He can make it work no matter who's out there. I think that's a real great piece to bring up, actually, because what we're dealing with is we've got some wide receivers here who haven't really been the focal point of any offence. We don't know really how good Crowder could be, but what we do know is he's likely to have an opportunity. Somebody is going to be the favourite target. Early doors, it looks like it's him. Alex Smith does tend to have a favourite target and will stick to them.
Yeah.
So if it's him, that definitely gives him some upside.
I think if you're playing PPR, I'd be more interested in.
Yes.
He's more of a slot receiver.
Yeah.
5'8", is he? Something like that.
Yeah, very valid point. Could definitely be Alton Towers player, couldn't he?
Yeah, he's another one on your Alton Towers midget list.
It could be, but to be fair, Alex Smith will hone in on someone, and if it is him, then you're right, Al. That's a very good point. PPR wise, there could be a lot more value than in standard, but I totally get the point. A lot of enthusiasts have been turning, to picking Crowder out as a potential breakaway candidate for this year. I get the sense, makes sense. I can't knock that, and at certain points of a draft, yes, I can imagine me taking him as well. So yeah, solid piece of advice.
I think what I'm going to tell you next is big news. So
Yep, go on
then. And
interesting.
Chris Thompson,
Yep.
obviously does all the pass catching in Washington.
Yeah.
He said that it's going to be November until he's 100% fit.
Yeah,
that is massive news.
Well, this is good for one man, really, the man that stands to benefit the most from this, and that's Geis. So
he's going to climb up ADP.
Now he's already high anyway because he's been going round about 28 to 30 in that range up until this news, or it's about to break.
Yeah,
he's currently sitting at.
He's 33 at the moment. He's up from 38.
That's not going to last long. I suspect a 6 to 8 point climb on the ADP charts, and that's the reality.
That's third round in smaller leagues.
Yeah, I mean that's the reality of what the price you're paying. But he was always high. He's actually been a fantasy darling in the offseason. I know we haven't really talked about Geis much. I know you like him. I'm warming massively to him. I was warming before this
with
news.
The Thompson news, they've been working him in the passing game.
Now it's stratospheric news for him, and this is the reason why, is that you are going to have to pay a high premium to get him. But if you know that there's no one out there to threaten the job, then, it's pretty obvious. That's a pretty good player to target, isn't it? To be honest, I can understand that logic.
I'm very big on Geis this year.
So it makes perfect sense, and I don't think you want to overreach. I definitely don't think you go. Let his ADP settle, but you don't overreach.
Yeah, Thompson's been sort of moving gingerly in practice, so he seems a way off, and not like he's he's normally known for his quick feet and his catching skills.
The injury from last year must be more serious.
Yeah, it was a bad leg break, wasn't it? If I remember rightly.
And therefore, there's probably been a setback in the recovery process. So this is unfortunate for him. But one man's unfortune is another man's fortune, and so your guys will benefit from this. And he's going to have an opportunity to do very well there this year. We'll see how it plays out for him. There would be no doubt in my mind. You look at the rookies coming in. You have to put him in the list now. You have to say, could he be Rookie of the Year? He would have a chance. And so therefore, you have to elevate him and value him accordingly to what you think is going to work for your strategy. It's interesting.
And you look at running back scores when they play with Alex Smith.
Yeah.
And they put up decent numbers. So
and
I think I rate him. Passes
there's some very interesting second round running back. I mean, it might be worth pausing for a moment. Can we have a little look at the moment at sort of second and third round running backs as it stands as today? So if we just, for argument's sake, in this video, we'll go for everything between 16 and 32, and we'll put guys in that at the end of that round.
So the first one we've got is Devontae Freeman.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, I could see him going up a bit higher than most people think as well. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Jarrett McKinnon.
Yeah, makes sense. PPR darling for this year. Yeah, it's 2.
I wouldn't disagree with that. Joe Mixon.
So that's 3, yeah.
Did I mention Jordan Howard?
Not yet.
No, Jordan Howard.
So that's 4, yeah. Who else have we got in that group?
Christian McCaffrey.
So that's 5. Yeah, more a PPR darling for me.
But Sean McCoy's currently there, but...
Yeah, we're not sure on this. So we'll hold him there for the moment, so that's 6.
And then Darius Geis at 33.
We'll slide Geis in at 7. I think those 7 targets...
Alex Collins at...
Just outside that range.
34.
Could easily move up a little bit because he's also shining quite well, I'm hearing, in camp. So
and also Kenneth Dixon's injured again, so...
Says a lot. Okay, so
they're literally...
There is some very interesting second round running back candidates to consider, definitely, to put things into perspective, and you've got to pick your poison, and that's going to be interesting if that's the route you go down. Very interesting with all that.
I mean, Dixon needs a strong camp really, and getting injured is
not going to help his cause. He's been very, very badly hampered by injury in his short career, hasn't he? So his odds of maybe even making the 53 man are getting less and less all the time with their snows. Very worrying. Anyway.
Okay, let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
Dallas Goedert and has been unstoppable in the red zone. He caught 5 touchdowns in one practice in the red zone.
That's impressive. Yeah.
Apparently he was unstoppable. They couldn't stop it. So
he's big, he's physical, and he's what Dallas wanted. I mean, that's the sad bit, isn't it?
Yeah, he's named after Dallas, which is even more annoying.
Which is the worst.
And they traded up to steal him one pick before
and
us.
they're going to use him, and they know what they're doing.
So does this hurt Zach Ertz, or are they going to do 2 tight end sets?
I think you do 2 tight end sets. It's very good for Carson Wentz because it means you've got 2 extra blockers, which is very good. It means you think you're limiting your squad, but the way they play RPO plays, I would not be surprised to see more tight end style of rollout passes to the tight end, left or right. So they know if they've got a block, they'll block, and if they have to let go of the coverage, they'll go out in the flat and support the quarterback who's running. It's fantastic for them. I mean, I just think it's a great situation. I mean, they'll utilise this till the cows come home.
Aguilar's been pretty hot again, and 1 year in, cemented into that role.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see how he does. He's been very disrespected in the ADP list, which is quite interesting. A lot of people said it was a fluke last year. I think
it's not a fluke, is it? Yeah, it wasn't a fluke.
I mean, I watched on Fantasy Wizards. You look at the write-up on him if you click on the player, and they're saying, don't expect a big drop-off for this year. Well, I know he had touchdowns. I know the touchdowns, you can't predict them. He had 8. I know that's a bit of a worry, but I would say 5 or 6 is the floor for that player. So if he drops 3 touchdowns, that's only 18 fantasy points. I mean, if he makes up for that in yards, it's negligible. So how's it a fluke?
I'm sure the first big player went in camp was to Aguilar, big touchdown. We're talking 60 to 80 yards.
So I'm not too worried about Aguilar. I think his value's fantastic.
What about? I mean, they obviously lost Torrey Smith and got Mike Wallace in. So
Mike Wallace is a savvy
he's definitely
veteran.
An upgrade there.
Yeah, he's a savvy veteran. I mean, he knows what he's doing, and again, they'll find a way of moving him into the role. He won't play a lot. I mean, I don't see him being out there all the time, but I think they will roll him in and roll him out of the lineup as required. And he's going to take some decent coverage because you have to put a good corner on him. He knows all the routes, so you can't just disrespect Mike Wallace for his age. You just can't do it. It's like Smith. Steve Smith. Yeah. Steve Smith from Carolina. He's a bit like that. I know he's not quite as talented or perhaps as hungry, but Mike Wallace, he'll absolutely smoke you to death if you give him a yard. I mean, at his age, he'll kill you. If you don't cover him with a good corner or safety, he's going to be wide open. So this is very clever from Eagles. As I say, it's all about this RPO option, so they know exactly what they're doing.
So Dallas Goedert, you're going to be a...
Yeah, I mean, again, for a
late round
tight end, if you need someone because the strategy you've gone down is you're waiting, a packed tight end, and a packed tight end could be just
I mean, if he can get you a few touchdowns,
It could be just fine because, touchdowns are king in standard. All right, maybe you're looking at PPR. Maybe he isn't the real, what you're looking for, but I think even in PPR league, let's be honest, there are very few candidates for tight end success. They're only the usual suspects, and then the rest is all in the group. So
okay, well, let's talk about their running backs. So they've got J.J. They've lost the Garrett Blunt. They've got Corey Clement.
Another big Campbell player, J.J. I mean, we can all see. I mean, we can all see the talent. I mean, we can all see the talent. There was all the talk about bone-on-bone injury with the knee. That hasn't shown up yet. I would worry about long-term future, a couple of years in. We're not from this point. We're not there yet. He's another high-risk, high-reward. If he turns out to win the full job, it's amazing on a high-octane offense.
They do run the ball a lot, so
and you spelled this out. But I'm more hesitant on Jai, and probably rightly so. I just can't quite buy into it. So I think more of a committee here, and there'll be a lot of people who.
Well, we got Sproles back as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who.
And Donald Pumphrey's still there.
There's a lot of people who stand to benefit. Bits of it will stand to benefit.
Matt Jones.
Yeah, maybe. He's done it before.
I mean, he was taking first team snaps, Matt Jones, until he got his obligatory injury.
I think what you're looking at is that this will be a committee kind of backfield to a large degree, and you can pick your poison out of it. We will talk more on this backfield in later videos, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yep.
Obviously, Fitzmagic's the main man at the moment, but their backfield. Barber's still ahead of Ronald Jones in reps. And he not going to give it up easily, according to... Well, obviously you wouldn't want to.
Well, all I'm going to say here is Ronald Jones ADP round about the same as Royce Freeman, a couple of spots back, so 54, 55. I think you'll find if you have a little look at the ADPs on this at the moment for Rojo. So if you wouldn't mind, Al, that'd be very good, and I'll talk about him. I think that Rojo will do a very good job in the NFL from the get-go, and I think at that ADP I would take a shot.
He's 59.
Anyway, I'm happy with that. I'd take a punt on Rojo any day of the week.
So he is in the Royce Freeman, Dion Lewis area. Michelle.
Happy to take a punt on him all day long. He's the only option for me. I'm not worried about Barber. I'm not worried about Sims. I'm worried about none of those guys. It's Rojo's backfield, and it will be. Yeah, the rookie will have to win it out in camp. Of course he will, but do not be surprised what you see come those pre-season games where he lights it up.
Fitzmagic though?
Well,
they just load the box.
Fitzmagic is an absolutely pine bench warming quarterback. There is no redeeming qualities to the guy for me, but he's savvy. He's been around the league a long time. He knows how to get these second. He seems to land on his feet wherever he goes. He seems to end up winning a job for a while.
He's like a voodoo curse, and he always gets in.
Can you trust him as a quarterback? No. Can he do the job? Yes. So he will. What you would hope would happen for Tampa is for the first 4 games, if he can give you an even record 2-2, you're okay.
What about his beard? Is that a redeeming?
No. He's got a beard you could lose a badger in. Let's be honest. I mean, it's very worrying what he's got there.
We'll move on, I think. Right. Another rookie that suffered injury, James Washington at Pittsburgh. Been making a few nice plays. Catching touchdowns, but he limped off under his own steed. He said he's day to day, so that's not a big injury.
No.
Luck's been doing well. I think he's been completing a lot of passes in practice.
Yeah, we've only got one hurdle left for him to overcome, and then we're kind of at the rusty stage. So I'm not worried. I mean, in camp he completed something like 19 out of 21 passes one afternoon or something.
He's linking up with Hilton well. I mean, they know each other's game very well, don't they?
Those things I take for granted. I kind of know that. I mean, as luck goes, so will Hilton's value. Is Hilton going to be...
They're linked to each other, aren't they?
Yeah, is Hilton going to be better than his previous last year's work? Of course he is.
If Luck stays fit.
If Luck stays fit. Is Luck fully back? Well, we won't know, really, until the season starts, because he's got to get rid of the rust. And there is rust, because he's been out of the game for a long period of time.
He's a good player, though. You can't forget that. A gambler's pick at quarterback this year.
Where will he end up by the end of the season? Just outside the top 5.
I thought you were going to say hospital.
No, just outside the top 5 in quarterbacks, definitely.
I think he could go in the top 5.
I don't think he can. I think there's too much pressure on that now. I mean, the league has moved on a little bit. We've got some really interesting trigger men now. I mean, look at the kind of calibre at the top of the trigger.
Yeah, there are some good ones.
Just look at the calibre. I'm not saying he can't be in the equation, because he will be, but he's probably got, if you're talking about elite quarterbacks, he's got the best appeal. His ADP is so much lower than everybody else's.
And they'll always be behind, so he'll have to throw a lot.
So I still believe in him. I still think he can end up there. My only concern with him is...
He's not going in the top 10 of quarterbacks, so...
No, he's been disrespected. I mean, he's without a shadow of a doubt, he's a potential top 5, as you say, on the edge of it. Top 5 or just in. He could get in, but I'm just being cautious slightly. By the end of the year, he finishes just outside the top 5.
He is really splitting opinions. Someone has him at 2 and someone has him at 20. 20.
No, that's
Come on.
ridiculous. You can't put him down
Come
to
on,
20.
he's going with 20.
I know
I
he hasn't been in pads yet, but look, he's throwing the ball. He will go into pads this next week. We will know a lot.
Well, he said he's going to play 25% of his first pre-season game.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. So you'll know, it's to get him back up to full speed. I think that's a very good idea from the coaches. Really, there's a risk, but the risk is worth it. If he plays that kind of pre-season build-up throughout the pre-season, then I think the rust won't be there. I mean, I think he'll be okay when you start the year off. He should be okay, ready to go. He's very capable. He's going to beat his ADP, and if you can get him late, or already have got him late in some drafts, well done, because you could be sitting on the steal. Unlike last year.
Yeah.
So, well done. If you get it right, good for you.
He's a gambler's pick.
Yeah.
Okay, probably the most uninspiring news of the week. Saints take a flyer on Michael Floyd.
Yeah, it won't last long. I think this is going to be pretty simple. I think, they'll have him in camp for a while, and then he'll disappear, because they've got too many other options.
He looked a good player, didn't he? I mean,
he was
a few years back at Arizona.
He was brilliant at one time, and he looked the heir apparent to,
Larry Fitz.
player, Larry Fitz. But it never worked out that way, and, some players get older quicker, and he did. And he just doesn't at the same force.
So you're not buying him?
No, I wouldn't trust him at all. I've got no interest.
They fell to the Patriots, do you think?
No interest. I can't see it.
He's played with them before, hasn't he?
He has, but I can't see it. I don't think they've got that kind of need yet.
Oh, they just lost Jordan Matthews.
They've got no need yet. Let's see what happens.
How many gas to go down before?
Yeah, they're savvy players. I mean, no one minds a ring. I mean, if you're Brandon LaFell and the Patriots come knocking, you'll bite their hand off, wouldn't you? I'd offer them half my fee so I can get a ring, or at least have a chance.
No, here's where you can really help us here, because this has been jam-packed full of information. So, do you prefer hearing lots of information and let's talk about each one, or would you prefer just to discuss the bigger news? Because we're doing this for you. Really, we enjoy doing it, but
it's a good question, and we've got to tailor the audience. We've got to tailor what we're doing to what you want, and now raises a perfect point. It's really important that you keep giving us your feedback, keep sharing the videos, commenting, and subscribing. We need to keep building the subscriber numbers up, because at the end of the day, we have high hopes for the podcast moving forward. And if we're being honest, me and Al, we would have a product right now that we could have sold to people right now. But we've kind of tried to treat this organically. We've tried to do this the right way, and we want to build our numbers up. And then when we reach a certain point, we are ready to go. We were ready to go with those lists in the turn of December. Really.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I was ready to roll, and that surprises people, because we didn't have any camp news, we didn't have any knowledge. But I really believe you have to make punts quicker.
Yeah.
You have to make decisions, and you have to kind of back yourself a bit.
I mean, if you go back and you look about, a month or 6 weeks ago, Sean was giving you players and telling you these players that you can pick up and watch out for, and they're only just coming up now from other people. They're rising up draft boards from other people. We're way ahead of the game, especially Sean.
Thanks for that. That's really kind of you. I mean,
well, you go watch the videos, because that bears it out completely.
That's really good of you, because you are a foil to this, and Al does a lot of work that goes unseen. We've had, he has to get. I won't be mentioning this, but we've had issues getting things out. But he's fixed all those. He's done a lot of work. Brought the mic in. He's got a lot of fantastic insight. He's what he does, what I call the gambler kind of side of him. He has this really innate ability to work out, looking at boards. If we wait here, we'll get this player on the bounce. And generally, 90% of the time, that's exactly how it works out. And that's a really good quality to have. So if you can pick the best out of those kind of qualities and add it to some of the insight, I think you're on a winner, really, as a drafter, because those are the kind of things you have to do. I mean, sometimes I think I go a bit crazy. I go overboard with players. And that's my downfall sometimes, because I'm prepared to take those risks. But there is other sides to that where... And it's good to know, because you have to know your weaknesses and your strengths. Sometimes those things, those crazy insights, will lead to the huge advantages come drafting. And I do think in some drafts I've already had this year, I've really benefited a long way ahead. Taking Royce Freeman at 5 in a dynasty draft would seem really crazy at the time. Now it looks like it's a very solid move. Taking Anthony Miller, they're all good moves, and they're going to look really good as you go forward. So it spells out what Al's saying. We're doing well to get the knowledge out there quicker. And we've still got, this is the really great thing, we've got a lot of stuff that we really want to just tell you about. We're holding back a little because we want to get close to the seasons, and also we've got some drafts coming up.
We've got some really exciting videos coming up, and we hope you stay tuned and subscribe and hopefully look forward to them with us. I just want to mention as well, we've got a whole community around us that help. They're a very knowledgeable community. I mean, we're on all year round. We're talking about things, right through the NFL draft. We've been drafting through.
Very knowledgeable drafters. It's one of the
May
reasons.
and June. It's a great group of people.
It's fantastic. The Discord site. I'm sure I will leave a link in the video.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you go on the fanpub.com and click on chat, there's a link there to the Discord chat. Everyone's welcome. It's free. It's a free app. We'd love to have you there. The more, the merrier. To be honest, me and Sean are on it all the time. Talking.
A lot of new people come into it this year.
Yeah.
A lot of new people, and what's been
And it's
brilliant
great, isn't it? It's great.
We got 3 live leagues. I can't stress this enough in the UK. I mean, think about this, right? So if you think in America, every year at this time, and just moving into August, they have what they call, workplaces and estates or housing areas have drafts, and they invite their friends over, and you have parties, and it's a big thing. You don't see that over in the UK for obvious reasons.
It's all online, isn't it?
It's all online, but in America it's different. They do come round, they do have the drinks, they do their draft.
Yeah,
boards. It's all, and we've got 3 of those leagues, serious leagues, big money leagues, £125 buy-ins.
Yeah.
We're not asking people to pay for those. There's loads of other leagues that happen on Discord for nothing, or if you want to
for a
10 or
smaller
20
amount, yeah.
or whatever you want to do. It's up to you. But there's a big community, as Al touches on. And what's great about it, 3 leagues, one in Yorkshire, one in Southampton, one here in sunny Northampton. I mean, you can't put a price on drafting with people who are really knowledgeable. I can't tell you how good that is to lock horns with everybody that's been involved in it, whether they've come or gone, and even the missteps. Some people didn't last long, or for whatever reason. It's still an experience, and it's one that we've made a lot of friends through that.
Yeah, and meeting people in person, it
A lot of camaraderie.
Yeah, it makes it so much fun.
We've done a lot of things from it, haven't we? I mean, this year, my league, what we've kind of done, I've tried to grow, I call an organic style of league. So the idea is you come up with ideas, you try them out, and you see if they work, and if they work and the audience like it, then you keep them. And some good examples are, the winners of the divisions get to call the divisions their names. I'm not going to spoil anything. We got 2 cracking names coming this year.
Yeah.
For those divisions, which add to the rivalry. I can't tell you how much it adds. It adds so much to the rivalry, intensifies the rivalry, and is a lot of fun. And so if you can get involved in any of those, and that will be through Discord, definitely worth joining.
But there's also online leagues as well, so even if you're in America and you want to come and join us, take us on, see if you can can beat us.
Yeah, definitely worth doing that.
Yeah, so
no more fun than rubbing it in our noses.
Yeah, I mean that's enough of us patting ourselves on the back.
It's up to you to judge that. You'll know that as the season unfolds, whether it was good advice or not.
I mean, go and look at the rookie flyers from last year, and hopefully this year's list will be just as good. Anything like that, we're on these players really early, a lot earlier than anybody else. So it's mainly down to Sean and his extensive knowledge. So, our whole community gets into this. So you get great news from everybody. Everyone's posting, everyone's chatting, everyone's trash talking. Everyone's having fun, so lots of betting advice on there. Very profitable betting advice going on there.
As Al said, hope to see a few of you come on there, and it'd be nice to see a few new faces. We've had a lot of people this year. I think there's about 20-25 people join Discord this year. A lot of people. Some of them a bit more quiet than others, but this is the time of the year it gets active. So come and join us.
Yeah, and thanks very much for watching. Please consider subscribing. Like I say, we've got lots more great stuff coming up. So, give us a thumbs up on the video if you've enjoyed it.
See you next time.
Thank you.